is going on to all my hedgehogs out there? It is your boy Manstooksy back at it with another not into the theater, out of theater action. Back at it with another review. And today since I saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3 yesterday, we are dropping my full-length review for the film here today. But before we get sexual, beginning of the video, tell you guys don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe I'll upload to YouTube algorithm recommend it to more people, and maybe they could join. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 3 down below. With that being said, guys, let's get right into it. And before we get right into it, let's give a quick plot synopsis, shall we? So, transition and choose.
Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails reunite to battle Shadow, a mysterious new enemy with powers unlike anything they've faced before. With their abilities outmatched in every way, they seek out an unlikely alliance to stop Shadow and protect the planet.
Alright, so going into Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I liked the previous two movies. I didn't really play much of the video games. I've probably played the first Sonic once, and that was like in the dentist lobby, so really not too familiar with the games. And when the first Sonic came out, I didn't originally watch it when it came out because it got dropped during COVID, or when COVID lockdown was about to go down. So it took me a few years to eventually see the film, and I think I saw it for the first time like 2022, sometime around that, to build up to the second movie. And I liked the first one quite a bit while still having my issues. And then the second one I saw in theaters last year, and I thought that one was even better. I thoroughly enjoyed that one as well, while not thinking that one was perfect as well. And but still thought both were really good video game movies. Especially they're way better than a couple other video game movies that are out there, which is the majority of them that are pretty bad. Maybe besides Five Nights at Freddy's, the Last of Us TV series, which I think is phenomenal, and the Super Mario Bros. Animated movie. And there might be others too, I just forgot about them. Lara Croft Tomb Raider from 2018, I also really enjoyed. So going into this one, I saw from the trailers that they were bringing in Shadow. I've also watched a little bit of the TV series as well. So them bring Shadow into it, I thought was pretty cool. So that definitely hooked my attention. Keanu Reeves' voice in them. So walked into it yesterday, and with that being said, let's just get into the actual review itself, shall we, guys? Oh God, take a drink of water first. Alright, starting off with the good. We always start off with the good here for our movie reviews. And I have the new edition of Shadow in his tragic backstory. So, yeah, Shadow I thought was a really cool character. I think he might be my favorite addition to the Sonic franchise, maybe besides Knuckles. Him and Knuckles are neck and neck. I really enjoyed his character. He has a very tragic backstory in this one.
Which, for the OG Sonic fans that have played the games and watched all the TV shows, they know how tragic the backstory is. And it is quite tragic in here. It kind of makes it really sad, especially for a kid's movie.
Other thing I liked was also the action sequences in this film, particularly when Sonic the Hedgehog and Shadow are fighting each other. I think those are really great fights, especially at the beginning and in the final act. I thought the final act was awesome. Another thing I really enjoyed in here as well, the hedgehogs being more at the forefront compared to the first two films. So the first film, it was kind of like evensies with Sonic and James Marsden's character, Donut Lord, being both kind of at the forefront, with James Marsden getting more of the screen time. And then the second film, they kind of like heard those complaints, and they actually put Sonic and Tails more at the forefront while still including the human characters. And this one, I think they are full-fledged at the forefront with a little help from the characters, which I certainly enjoyed, which brings me to the dynamic between the group of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, which the last movie ended with them all becoming a big family together and hanging out with James Marsden, the Donut Lord, and his family, and they're a part of a big family together. And this time around, they start working together as a team. And I think the dynamic that they have is really good here, where they're just basically starting out working out as a team, because Knuckles was a bad guy in the last film until the ending of that. So this time around, they're all working together and they're not on the same page a couple of times, which I actually enjoyed that. So there's that. What's the next one? The soundtrack in here, which is another great thing in here, which I knew it got a lot of
flack because it wasn't the same people that did the soundtrack for the first two movies, but it's still quite fun and has a similar style to it, and I think it's good.
The final positive I have in here is the end credits. I think the end credits is quite cool in this one, especially the first end credits you get. The second one's pretty good too. And it's not just a big joke or anything. It's actually serious and teasing other stuff in the franchise. I thought both of them were really cool, and my crowd started clapping for the first one, which I was going like, yeah, that was an awesome end credit sequence. So I won't go too into detail. I might do an individual spoiler review. I don't know, but that end credit sequence those two were great, and especially with the crowd all riled up and clapping and stuff, that was awesome. Now, unfortunately, that is all the good done. Now, let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film, which is, like, aspects where I'm 50-50 on the whole entire situation. Keanu Reeves voice acting for Shadow. Don't get me wrong, I love Keanu Reeves as John Wick in the John Wick franchise. I love that franchise. Him as Neo. But in here, I don't know. It just felt like sometimes he was taking like the calm approach to voicing Shadow, and then there are other points where I felt maybe he could have added a little intensity into that or whatever. Another one, the comedy in here, probably I'll elaborate more on this in the negative section, but there are a couple funny moments here and there, but then there's also moments that are just like, I feel they're kind of similar to the MCU, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I also think the another mixed is the green screen, which I think the green screen in here is probably
the weakest out of Sonic trilogy, but still there's some moments where it looks decent enough, I guess.
Another mixed I have is the Easter eggs, which so if for those who haven't played the video games or haven't watched the TV series and just watched the Sonic movies, there are a couple Easter eggs in here that'll probably go over your head and with the crowd erupting next to you or whatever, and you're just going, what the heck's that supposed to mean? It's not mixed of mine. Well, there was probably some references in there that I didn't get, but for the people that don't know about Sonic at all besides the movies, I bet it's probably going to go over their head quite a bit too. So that's the final mixed aspect. Now, unfortunately, we move on to the bad. And I'll save that for last because I thought that was very annoying. The conveniences in the writing is the first bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a kids' family movie, but there are some conveniences in here where you go like, yeah, I don't know if that would happen in real life. Or there's no way at least someone didn't see that, So that's one negative. And then the other negative I have is it having a joke every single time after a serious moment. This is the MCU has a problem with this nowadays, but
where all of a sudden there'll be a dramatic moment, a really sad moment, and then they always got cut it off right with a joke afterwards, and it gets on my nerves every single time. But yeah, still thought the humor was quite fun though. And after all, it is a kids movie, so I understand. You gotta have some lightheartedness.
Besides that, that's probably the biggest negative of the movie I have, really, that got on my nerves quite a bit. But still, that's pretty much it for the negatives. Now let's with that being said, let's bring out the toxic meter. And I will give this toxic goodness and the not toxic an A-. And Sonic fans, if you enjoyed the first two movies, this one's probably the one that's gonna be your favorite. As of right now, it stands as of my favorite, because tomorrow I will be doing a ranking of all 3 of these movies, so maybe my opinion will change, I don't know, but I really dug this one. So that is just my thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down below, and stay tuned. I'll probably talk about the post-credits scenes in a short or something like that, so stay tuned for that. With that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next time, everybody.
Peace out.